Early Edge. Katie Mox here, and I'm still joined with Tom Casale, Mike McClure, and of course Mackenzie Brooks here in studio. We talked a lot about these matchups going into the Final Four. Time now to bet on it. Let's look for a side or a total in Auburn versus Florida. Florida laying 2.5. This total 159.5. Ken's Florida did get the best of Auburn. Back, it was just not even a couple months ago. It wasn't even that far ago. So what are you thinking about this one?
Call me Mike McClure. Give me a first half under, baby. Under 77.5, 76.5 in some spots as well. I feel like we're going to see a pretty decent feel it out type of period. We give them a 64% chance to go under in the first half, 61% chance of the full game overall. But you saw both of these teams locked down defensively in the Elite Eight. And Walter Clayton Jr. doesn't typically like to show up until that second half. So I'm willing to bet that we just get a good slow feel out period. We don't really know what we're getting from Broome. Is he even going to make it to the second half? So I feel like the first half under is a safe play.
Mike McClure, you must be so proud to see Kenzie doing this. Are you riding with her, or are you taking us somewhere else?
So proud. Yes, I can co-sign for the under 76 in the first half. I'm going to go Auburn team total, though, under 79.5 for the full game. First of all, when you get to the Final Four, putting up 80 points is a tall task, no matter the opponent or the style of play. I think we also get a slow start. Like Ken's, when you talk about shooting in the big arena, you talk about the stakes of the game, you talk about the additional time to prepare for the opponent. And, oh, by the way, these opponents are familiar with one another. All of those things typically lead towards defense beating offense for the most part. I am going to bet against a big offensive performance from Auburn, particularly with Broome definitely banged up here. Not something I want to play with that elbow injury. So give me under 79.5 here for Auburn's team total.
Okay, we've got two bets on totals going under the team total, and then, of course, the first half under. What are you thinking about this one, Tom?
Yeah, listen, I like both those under looks. I think they're smart plays. I think it's going to be a really good game. My over-under for biggest leads, like 6.5 points. Like Mike said, they know each other. They're familiar. They have scouting reports. I went with the Florida money line simply because I think Walter Clayton could be the difference at the end of the game. I don't think Florida had any business beating Texas Tech. I thought for that day, Texas Tech was the better basketball team, and Walter Clayton was the difference down the stretch. I feel like that's the type of game it's going to be. It's going to be close. I give a slight edge to Florida's guards, and I think that's what gets them to the championship game Monday night.
Okay, so let's move on now to Houston versus Duke. I think we all know Duke's moving on in this one, even though you did make some good arguments. Duke's laying 5.5. This total 136.5. Ken's, how do you see it?
Well, I think the best way to have a little fun here, not make it so boring, is to take Houston to cover the first half spread of 2.5. Call me crazy. You could also parlay that with the Duke money line. I believe that's around a plus 250 there. But nonetheless, I think if there is a shot for Houston, it is in that first half. I think they can make this Duke offense really uncomfortable. You could see Cooper Flagg get a little uncomfortable with Roberts there. You know, what's going to be his game plan if he's neutralized a little bit. So, and you also have Houston, who can get super hot from three quickly. So if there's a chance for Houston to stay in this game, it's from, behind the arc here. And I think that would happen in the first half for this team.
Okay, so you're going to take the first half Houston, the 2.5. I like it. I mean, it gives you something to root for in the first half if you know that Duke is going to pull away. Tom, what are you thinking in this one?
Yeah, I went under 136.5. I think Mackenzie's point about the first half is key. The key to this game for me is the first 7 or 8 minutes. You don't even have to watch it. Just listen to it. If you're hearing a lot of whistles, that's edge Duke, because the way Houston plays defense with all that hand checking, if the refs are going to blow a quick whistle, Duke will go to the foul line 30 plus times. If they are letting things go, then that's advantage Houston. So I think a live bet in this game makes sense. But if Duke gets a lead, I think they're going to slow this game down to a crawl and limit possessions, and just an 8-10 point lead in this game is going to feel like 20. So give me the under 136.5.
Okay, so we got an under here. We like Houston in the first half. Are you just going to lay the points, Mike, with Duke? It's 4.5, 5.5, depending on where you get it.
Yeah, depending on what you get. If you can get 4.5 still, I would pregame. If not, I would wait and play it live. If Houston is competitive early, I do think that this number will at some point in this game be under 3.5 or at 3.5. That's a number I would be comfortable with when you talk about in-game or the end-of-game fouling situation. As Tom mentioned, Duke has a massive edge if this is a situation where they get to the free throw line. My big knock on Houston is they're not a good free throw shooting team. I really think that Duke will pull away here at the end. end, whether even if it's, like I said, a 1 or 2 possession game the entire way. I just trust Duke's management at the end of a game situation. Anything under 5, I would play on the Duke side.
Okay, so watch that line. Mike McClure likes it at 5 or 4.5. Anything under 5. If it gets to the 5.5, maybe wait and see what happens with that one. Let's talk now about props. Let's prop it up. Tom, let's start with you.
Yeah, I went with Thomas Howell over 7.5 rebounds. I got this at 6.5. That lasted like 4 minutes. Now it's at 7.5. He's been really active on the boards. I think he's going to play 30-plus minutes in this game. So Thomas Howell over 7.5 rebounds for me.
Okay, Kenz, what do you like?
I like Cooper Flagg here to record a steal. I think we'll see him impact this game in multiple ways. That's why he's going to be the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft. But again, this will be a very physical defense that they see. It might neutralize him offensively, and he'll find other ways to be impactful. And I think when you have a guy like Malawach, who I talked about earlier, protecting the rim, you can risk a little bit more going for a steal there. And he's had a steal in basically 70% of his games this season. Again, light shining bright. I think this will be a big game for him, big game for Malawach. And I think there's a trust between the two of them where he can take those risks to get a steal.
Okay, so Mackenzie likes Cooper Flagg to get a steal, Mike. Is there anything else that you would look at for really the biggest star of March?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely fading, and it's going to be the rebounding department.
Ooh.
Under 7.5 plus 110. And my problem with this line, Katie, this line at 7.5 is what it's been for each of the last 3 games. The total in this game is 39 points lower than the last game. You know how many difference in terms of the opportunities to rebound a basketball there is, and the game moves by 39 points. And you're talking about the strength of the Houston team. What Houston does really well is defend and rebound the basketball. The rebounds in this game, not only because there are going to be limited opportunities, they're just simply going to be more competitive across the board. So I love this one at plus 110. I think if the number is going to be 7.5, it should be minus 125 on that price point. Give me the under here, fading that 8th rebound.
Okay, Big Bunny Mike finding us some good value on a fade of Cooper Flagg. Now we got to talk about, we love it, yeah. Now you got to talk about who wins it all. Here's the thing. I will say Duke, of course, is the favorite, but they're at plus money. They're at even money, which you can't really get usually for a favorite in a final like that. Kenz, are we going Duke?
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy for the fact that it is all 1 seeds and you're seeing one specific team with basically a 50% chance to take it when everybody else is 1 seeds. True. Shows how much we like Duke, odds makers like Duke as well. Again, I do like them. I think the price is a little steep. We would make it more around a 37% chance instead of that 48% you're seeing with a plus 105 number here. Getting past Houston, as Tom was saying, I think will be the most difficult part of said situation. I think if they go to play Florida or Auburn, they should be, pretty confident in that situation, but there's nothing not to like about this team. Sometimes it's the turnovers with Cooper Flagg, but other than that, they're deep. They can do it.
Okay, well, there's one bet, one vote for Duke. Mike, are you co-signing on this one? Who do you think has the best chance, I guess, to beat Duke, if we're all going to say Duke here?
Yeah, I think it's Houston just because they can make the game ugly, just lower scoring. For me, Duke is definitely the clear answer here. The question just simply becomes, do you play this at even money right now, or do you money line rollover? I think that you might, if you play this right now and are confident that Florida beats Auburn, then I think that you might gain 15 cents, maybe 20 cents at most on that if you were to roll it over. But yeah, it's all Duke here for me.
All Duke so far. Are you going to cap this one off with a Blue Devil as well, Tom?
Yeah, listen, the best team with the best player, and it's not just the best player, it's a player that 6 NBA teams are benching all their starters to try to get. So he's a special player, and I think in the finals or against Houston, he can take over when he wants. And I think we will see that coming up. And I'll say this, I don't have a super strong play in the Final Four. You got 4 #1 seeds, really good games. If Duke opens like 4.5 over Florida or 5.5 over Auburn, that would be a strong play. I think if they lose, it's Houston.